It was the summer of 1969. The world was watching. In black and white televisions across the globe, a ghostly figure stepped onto a desolate grey landscape and declared, "That's one small step for men, one giant leap for mankind." But what if that step was never taken? To this day, some believe the moon landing was not a technological triumph, but the biggest hoax of the 20th century. A Hollywood style illusion created to defeat the Soviet Union in a propaganda war. In this video, we dive into the moon landing conspiracy, the evidence behind the claims, and the truth NASA stands by. Buckle up, this isn't just a history lesson, it's a journey into deception, doubt, and the dark side of human curiosity. Let's start with the bigger picture. After World War II, the US and the USSR became locked in a technological and ideological conflict. It wasn't just about weapons, it was about dominance in every field. The space race was one of the most symbolic fronts of that war. The Soviets were ahead. In 1957, they launched Sputnik, the first satellite. In 1961, Yuri Gagarin became the first man in space. They had spacewalks, lunar probes, and powerful rockets. America was losing badly. So when President Kennedy announced in 1961 that the US would land a man on the moon before the decade's end, it was more than ambition. It was national survival. The pressure on NASA was immense. Billions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of workers, all eyes on them. Conspiracy theorists argue, what if the risk of failure was too high? What if the government, desperate for a win, decided to fake it? A staged moon landing would prove America's superiority, force the Soviets to waste resources trying to catch up, rally American pride during a divisive time. It would be genius if it were true. One of the most cited proofs of a hoax is the American flag seen fluttering as it was planted on the moon. Conspiracists ask, how can a flag move if there is no air? On the moon there's no atmosphere, no breeze, so why does it ripple like it's in the wind? In reality, the flag was designed with a horizontal rod to keep it extended. When astronauts twisted the pole into the soil, the movement caused the fabric to shake. With no air to dampen the motion, the flag appeared to flutter, and then stayed in that wavy shape. But the visual is striking, it looks like wind, and that's all many needed to raise suspicion. To believers of the hoax theory, this is a sign. The footage was shot on Earth in a studio where the flag naturally caught air. When you look at the photos from the Apollo missions, you'll notice something strange. The sky is pitch black, but there are no stars. Critics claim this is a dead giveaway. The moon has no atmosphere. The sky is pure black, so in theory, the stars should be incredibly visible, especially in photos taken on such a dark background. Their absence, some say, means the set designers simply forgot to add them, but NASA explains this easily. Exposure settings. The astronauts were photographing very bright objects. White suits, shiny metal, the sunlit lunar surface. The cameras used short exposure times to avoid overexposing those bright elements. As a result, faint stars didn't register on film. It's the same reason you don't see stars in photos taken from Earth during daylight or in cities with bright lights. They are there, but the camera can't capture them all. Still, for conspiracy theorists, the empty black sky remains suspiciously convenient. In Apollo photos, shadows sometimes fall in different directions. One rock's shadow points left, another's right. To many, this looks like a multi-light studio setup. On Earth, shadows only fall in one direction when lit by a single light source, like the sun. So how could the moon, lit only by sunlight, produce intersecting shadows? NASA's answer? Perspective and terrain. The moon's surface is uneven. It's filled with craters, rocks, and slopes. Shadows bend, curve, and distort. depending on the angle of the ground and the camera, and in reflective surfaces like the astronauts' white suits or the lunar module's metallic base, and light bounces unpredictably. But skeptics remain unconvinced. To them, the lighting inconsistencies are textbook signs of artificial illumination, the kind you find in film studios. NASA's lunar cameras had crosshairs etched into the lens, thin black lines meant to help measure distances and sizes. But in several photos, parts of the crosshairs appeal to be behind objects, like behind an astronaut or a piece of equipment. To conspiracy theorists, this suggests the photos were tampered with. Objects were pasted in after the photos were taken, covering the crosshairs. In short, photo manipulation. NASA's explanation: overexposure. In very bright areas like a white space suit under the sun, the camera film can become saturated. That brightness can wash out the thin black crosshairs, making it look like they disappear behind objects. Professional photographers agree this is possible, especially with 1960s technology, but it's another eerie visual that seems to hint at something artificial. When the lunar module landed, it used a rocket engine to slow its descent. That engine fired just meters above the surface, but when we look at the landing site, it's clean. No blast crater, no scorched soil, not even a visible disturbance under the engine. To skeptics, that's impossible. A rocket powerful enough to lower a spacecraft should have carved out a hole or at least moved some dust. NASA disagrees. They say the moon's surface is hard-packed regolith, almost like concrete. The engine was throttled down during the last seconds of descent, producing minimal force. And with no atmosphere, there's no wind to blow dust around. Still, it feels wrong. We expect destruction, and when we don't see it, we wonder if the landing even happened. This is where the story becomes cinematic. Stanley Kubrick's 1968 film 2001: A Space Odyssey amazed audiences with its realistic space visuals. The film came out just 1 year before Apollo 11. The theory: NASA saw Kubrick's work and hired him to fake the moon landing footage. The idea exploded in pop culture. Books were written, a fake deathbed confession video surfaced online. Fans pointed to supposed clues in Kubrick's The Shining, like Danny wearing an Apollo 11 sweater or the room number 237, the average distance to the moon in thousands of miles. Of course, none of it's real. Kubrick's family denied any involvement. The confession video was debunked, and room 237 in the book was room 217, changed for other reasons. But the theory lingers. Because it's just so good, a master filmmaker, a secret contract, a government cover-up, it's the stuff of movies, literally. So let's look at what does prove the moon landing happened. Moon rocks, over 800 pounds brought back. They've been studied internationally and contain unique isotopic compositions found only on the moon. Retroreflectors, devices placed on the lunar surface that reflect lasers sent from Earth. They are still in use today. Soviet confirmation: the USSR tracked Apollo missions in real time. They had every reason to expose the hoax, but they never did. Thousands involved. Over 400,000 of people worked on Apollo. Engineers, scientists, pilots, contractors. Could all of them keep a secret for 50 plus years? Recent satellite photos, modern lunar orbiters have taken high-resolution images showing the Apollo landing sites, including equipment, tracks, and flags. Live telemetry data: NASA has hours of real-time data, tracking, and voice communications from the mission. Put simply, the evidence is overwhelming. But then why do people believe it was fake? It's not just about facts, it's about emotion, distrust, and identity. Governments lie. After Watergate, Vietnam, and other scandals, public trust in authority plummeted. Alternative beliefs give power. Believing you know the real truth can feel empowering. The internet amplifies doubt. Once a theory is online, it can spread rapidly, even if it's wrong. Our brains love patterns. We connect dots even when they don't mean anything. That's how conspiracy theories are born. And finally, conspiracy theories are exciting. They turn history into mystery and truth into a puzzle. So, did we really land on the moon? The scientific, photographic, and physical evidence overwhelmingly say yes. But the moon landing conspiracy will never truly die. Because it's not just about facts, it's about belief. And as long as people question what they see, wonder who they can trust, and dream of hidden truths, the moon landing will remain one of the greatest what ifs of our time. Sometimes the truth is stranger than fiction, but sometimes the fiction is just more fun to believe.